There are only 3 diets that actually work, because every other diet you see online is just a remix of these. Because if you understand this, fat loss becomes stupidly simple, like very, very simple. Because social media, people online, they love to complicate things. They love to add math to the equation. They love to add science and all these other things just to confuse you. But if you understand just the core concept behind what actually drives fat loss and weight loss, you're going to be winning, and it's going to feel so easy, and it's going to feel so less overwhelming. Now, before we get into this topic, I have coached hundreds of busy men who have lost 30 to 50 pounds, all without doing the keto diet, the carnivore diet, fasting, or an entire food elimination nonsense. By the end of this video, you'll understand exactly why specific diets work, why most people, unfortunately, and this may be you, why most people fail, and how to choose the one that you can actually stick to long term. I'm going to break down the only 3 diet frameworks that work, show you the science behind them, some real client examples from the people that we work with currently, and how to pick the right one that fits you and your lifestyle and your preferences and your needs. Because what may work for one person may not necessarily work for the other person. But at the end of the day, there are still some underlying principles that apply to everyone. So just know that you are not a special snowflake, and that, let's just dive into it. So starting with the truth about diets, let's just clear the fluff first. No diet works because it's keto. No diet works because it's plant-based or vegan. No diet works because it's anti-inflammatory. Every successful diet has one, and I mean only one specific thing in common, and that is this: it puts you in a calorie deficit. That is it, period. Because if calories weren't reduced, fat loss would not happen, period. Because multiple large meta-analyses show that weight loss outcomes are nearly identical across diets when calories and protein are matched. Now, the other health benefits you hear about, like better blood sugar, lower cholesterol, improved insulin sensitivity, all of these amazing things happen simply due to you losing body fat. And it did not come from the specific diet that you used, because you could have seen all these other amazing benefits, whether you followed the keto diet or the carnivore diet or the paleo diet or the vegan diet. Because if you lose weight using any diet, your blood markers will improve. So all of these things just come from you losing body fat and not from the diet label. So let's talk about the 3 diets that actually work. Starting with diet number 1, and that is the calorie restriction diet. This is the most direct approach, which basically implies that you eat less total calories than you burn. So using this approach, there are no specific food rules, no specific time rules. So a couple examples here could be just simply tracking your calories and macros on a fitness app, whether it's MyFitnessPal or Chronometer or Macro Factor. There's a bunch of other ones out there, the RP Diet app. It could also be just you eating smaller portions, or it could be lower calorie food swaps. One of these 3 things will naturally put you in a calorie restrictive mode, which therefore helps you eat less calories than you burn. So calorie restriction is the most consistently validated fat loss method in controlled trials. It works because energy balance always wins. You cannot break your rules of thermodynamics. So if you're eating more calories than you burn, you will gain weight. And if you're eating less calories than you burn, you're going to lose weight. So we've actually had clients who lost 40 plus pounds still being able to eat pizza and burgers and dessert weekly, all because their total calories were controlled. And now, is this advised? For me, myself personally, no, because that will drive me crazy. If you give me a slice of pizza, like I'm just going to want to eat the entire box of pizza. If you give me a burger, I'm just going to want to eat even more burgers or have some fries with that. And if you give me one small little dessert, I'm just going to want to eat the entire dessert, right? This is similar to like if it fits your macros, flexible dieting. And I definitely think that it is very beneficial for a lot of people. And this could be great for maybe some analytical people, maybe people with more of a type A personality, and then also anyone who likes structure and data. So that is one of the three most popular diets. Going on to number 2, which is dietary restriction. This is where you simply restrict your food choices and not calories directly, but it indirectly helps you reduce your calories. So examples here are any diet that you hear online. This could be the keto diet, the vegan diet, the paleo diet, carnivore diet, or the clean eating diet, where you don't necessarily have to count your calories, but your calories naturally drop because your food options are limited. But at the same time, this is a double-edged sword because especially if you don't count your calories on any of these specific diets, you could very well still be in a situation where you're not losing any weight and you're actually maybe even gaining weight because you could still be eating more calories than you burn. And now, if I were to do any of these diets, any diet really that I just mentioned, the keto, paleo, vegan, carnivore, clean eating, I can very easily, and I'll tell you this right now, as a foodie coming from a fat kid background, chubby kid growing up, I can very easily overeat on calories and put myself in a surplus following any diet. You put me on a vegan diet, I'll eat a ton of salads and still somehow manage to gain weight. You put me on a carnivore diet or a keto diet, I mean, oh my goodness. Like I can eat meats, like I can eat a lot of meats, like steak, chicken, any type of meat really, and I can very easily put myself in a surplus. So I'm going to tell you guys by the end of this video which diet approach I enjoy the most and can actually stick to, but just know that the whole dietary restrictive diet can work for some people if you are a good intuitive eater and if you are able to just not put yourself in a surplus by restricting certain food groups. But if you're a big foodie at heart and you just enjoy eating large amounts of food, this may not necessarily work for you. So going over the science of these specific diets, studies do show that dietary restriction works because it reduces your total calorie intake through fewer food choices and not through metabolic magic. Because simply speaking, if you follow a diet that excludes all carbs, you're eliminating an entire food group. And by doing that, it just makes it a lot more difficult to overeat on calories. Not saying it's impossible, because I know I very well can, but for some people, because you're doing that, it just makes it easier to naturally eat less food. Same thing with the vegan diets. Like if you're not eating bacon and pork and burgers and all the other meats-based foods, you're excluding an entire food group. Makes it easier to eat less calories. Same thing with any other diet. Now, I have done some of these dietary restrictive phases myself. It definitely can work short term, but adherence here is the real issue because I don't know about you guys, but if you were to tell me, hey, Conan, you can never eat carbs ever again for the rest of your life, I could suck it up and go through that for maybe a couple days, couple weeks, couple months, even a couple years if I really, really just like fired through it. But I mean, like, could I really see myself never eating oats again? Like, I love oatmeal. I love eating my oatmeal with my protein sludge, blueberries on top. Like, it's one of my favorite meals. Or like bread, bagels, fruits. Like, fruits, veggies, those have carbs too. And could I really see myself never eating those types of foods again? Short term, sure, I can power through anything. But long term, absolutely not. And so that is the downfall with all these dietary restrictive diets where, yes, you can power through it for however long you can last, but it is not sustainable and they're not designed to be sustainable. Just ask yourself this question. If you're following any restrictive diet, can you really see yourself never eating animal-based products again or carb-based products again or whatever food group you're eliminating, never eating those foods again? Because from a psychological perspective, as soon as you tell yourself you can no longer have a certain thing, whether it's food related or not, you are subconsciously, one way or another, eventually going to start craving or wanting that thing that you can no longer have because you told yourself you couldn't have it. Like I remember as a kid growing up, as soon as my parents told me, hey, you can no longer play with this toy, for whatever strange reason, I just started to want to really want to use that toy now. Even though I had hundreds of different toys I could use, I really wanted that specific one. Same thing from a food perspective. If you tell yourself you can never have donuts again, you're subconsciously going to start to want to eat donuts. Even though there's hundreds of different foods out there, you're just so laser focused on that one thing because now you told yourself you can no longer have that food, where now you actually want that even more, which is kind of funny how that backfires. So yeah, these are not meant to be sustained. They're unsustainable by nature, and that is why so many people fail on these diets. Unless you're doing it for religious reasons, which I totally respect, and then of course you have no other choice. But I know so many people who go on and off the keto diets, the carnivore diets. They'll have success, but then they start craving carbs, and then they yo-yo up and down. They lose a bunch of weight, and then they gain all the weight back again, if not more. And the issue that I have with these specific diets is that they don't really teach you anything. The only thing they teach you is, hey, you only eat these foods and exclude these foods. That is it. No explanation needed, no science needed, just follow these simple rules. Now, if you're a simplistic person and don't want to know the science or reasoning behind doing certain things, sure, by all means, be my guest. But the chances of you sustaining that, once again, are very slim. And yeah, you're likely just going to fall off. So who this actually works for are a select few people who hate tracking their food. So if you absolutely hate tracking your calories and macros, then sure, this could maybe work for you short term. People who prefer rules. So if you like following specific set of rules of, hey, eat this and not that, sure, could work for you. And then also if you have a short-term mindset. So for short-term fat loss phases, it's definitely common for maybe the last 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks of a diet to kind of just go all in and just going into this that, okay, I'm going to do this, but I know it's not sustainable. I know it's short-term, and I know that I'm going to maybe yo-yo out of this or balloon out of this. And as long as you're aware of that and know the trade-offs going into it, then sure, go ahead. But there's a reason why most successful people who are not only losing the weight, but then are able to sustain those weights, they really don't follow specific rules. They just know what calories in versus calories out looks like, and then just eat foods that are aligned with their preferences, their goals, their taste buds, which is most important as well. Like if you eat foods that you don't enjoy, have fun sticking with that. So that's what I found with most of our successful clients and with myself as well. Moving on to the third diet, which is time restriction. So this is when you eat and not what you eat. So examples of this could be intermittent fasting, which is the most popular one. It could also be OMAD, so the whole one meal a day, or it could also be eating in specific windows, so eating windows. So the reason this works is because calories drop when you have less time to eat, right? Let's say I were to challenge you and say, hey, eat as many calories as you can, but the only caveat is that you have to do it within a certain time frame. So instead of having 24 hours to eat as many calories as you can, you only have an hour now, or 2 hours, or 4 hours. I mean, it's going to be difficult to cram down a whole lot of calories within that short amount of time frame, right? Whereas if you give yourself 24 hours, the entire day to eat all the calories that you could, you're probably going to eat a lot more calories, right? Let's say you have a calorie goal, 2,000 calories. What would make it easier for you to do? Would it be easier for you to have an open window of 24 hours to eat those 2,000 calories? Or would you rather do that in a shortened time period where you maybe only have 6 hours or 8 hours or 4 hours or 2 hours to eat those calories? I mean, it'd be easier to do it in a 24-hour window because you literally have all day to eat those calories. Whereas if you shorten that time frame, a common way is like the 16 to 8 intermittent fast, where you fast for 16 hours and then you have an 8-hour eating window, for example. Or you could even reduce it more and doing an 18-6 or a 24 or a 22-2, which is likely the OMAD thing, right? But it becomes increasingly more difficult the shorter your eating window is to cram in those 2,000 calories like we just discussed. And so that is why it could work for certain people. Now, the science behind this is that research consistently shows that time-restricted eating produces fat loss only when calories are reduced. Because without the deficit, there's no magic. Meaning that if you were to do intermittent fasting and you still somehow manage to eat more calories than you burn, there's nothing, and I mean nothing, beneficial to intermittent fasting, because all the beneficial health things that come from intermittent fasting simply comes down to you putting yourself in a calorie deficit. People talk a lot about autophagy, and I mean, sure, maybe some other things could happen in terms of maybe you have less brain fog, maybe you're less food focused, maybe you can just focus more on the task, maybe you just perform better at work, maybe you get better workouts in. That's totally cool. I've seen some anecdotal things for myself and with other clients who just feel mentally sharper, less brain fog, and just more mentally clear by fasting in the morning. Because I know some people who eat a big breakfast first thing in the morning, they just feel lethargic, they feel heavy, they can't think straight. And despite them still maybe being in a calorie deficit, they just don't like the cognitive things that happen when they're constantly eating. Whereas if they start introducing some fasting into their routine, specifically in the morning, they just have all these cognitive benefits. They feel sharper, they're more productive, they get more work done. So it could definitely be beneficial from a cognitive perspective. But when it comes to strictly weight loss and fat loss and improving your blood markers, the only reason why intermittent fasting is successful amongst those people who actually succeed with it is because it puts you in a calorie deficit. That is it. That is all. So an example here, actually, one of our clients who was a busy executive, he enjoyed skipping breakfast naturally. And that naturally made him eat fewer calories and lose fat without even thinking about food all day. So this is great for people who have busy schedules. So if you're constantly on the go, if you're a truck driver, if you're just, a worker, an entrepreneur, or if you're someone with appetite control issues, or people who just like simplicity. I'll tell you right now, I love intermittent fasting. I enjoy it. I think it just puts me in a good mood, and I'm a big foodie. I'm a big eater, and I just enjoy eating larger meals in a shorter time frame compared to eating smaller meals spread out evenly throughout the day. Because for me, eating those small little meals, they're kind of like appetizers to me in a way, where you eat a meal and then it's like, okay, I just ate a meal and it was so small, and I'm actually hungrier now, even more than when I was before eating the meal, because it kind of like similar to an appetizer. The entire point of an appetizer is to kind of get your taste buds going, get them used to eating some food, and it kind of like makes you hungrier, gets you ready for the main course. And that's how I view eating small meals spread out evenly throughout the day, where I'm never truly satisfied after eating. And I really enjoy just being satisfied after eating a meal. I like eating a big meal, feeling truly satisfied, and then boom, I feel good. I feel energized. I feel just sharp, and I can just carry on with the rest of my day. I can do my workout after. I can do a heavy work block after. I can just do whatever is necessary for the day. So I enjoy intermittent fasting. And like I said, some of our clients really enjoy this as well, especially those who are busy first thing in the morning, or especially this is another thing, eat based on when you're hungry. Like so many people say that, breakfast is the most important meal of the day. But a lot of people don't realize that breakfast simply means breaking the fast. So as soon as you wake up from sleeping the last night, the next morning, whenever you eat your first meal of the day, that is you breaking your fast. And so you get to decide when you break your fast. You can either break your fast as soon as you wake up. You could break your fast 1 hour upon waking, 2 hours upon waking, 4 hours upon waking. It doesn't matter. And breakfast, especially eating first thing in the morning, people say breakfast is the most important meal of the day. And now, technically speaking, we all have to eat breakfast eventually. We all have to break our fast eventually. So yes, it is the most important meal of the day, but just like your next meal, you could argue is your next important meal of the day, right? Like who's it goes to say that lunch isn't the most important meal of the day, or dinner? And again, these are just words and titles that we put to us eating, right? Like your lunch could be a dinner, your dinner could be breakfast, your breakfast could be lunch. Like it doesn't matter what you call certain things, because your body doesn't know. Your body doesn't know if you're eating lunch or if you're eating a snack or if you're eating dinner or if you're eating breakfast. Your body only knows if you're consuming food and if it's going through the digestive process. That is all your body knows, and that is all that it cares about. Whether you claim that it's a lunch or that it's a dinner or that it's a brunch or that it's a light snack or a heavy snack, it doesn't matter. So throw the whole labeling, food, meal, timing out of the window, because that doesn't matter. Going back to what I said at the very start of this video, calories in versus calories out. No matter how you do it, how you get there, what matters most is that you actually do it. And that will make you successful on your weight loss journey. Now, one last thing that I want to touch on intermittent fasting before I move on is intermittent fasting is not good for people who have binge eating disorder or have a poor relationship with food or have had experiences in the past of binge eating, because by restricting yourself for so long, with going without food for so long, whether it's a 16-hour fast, 18-hour fast, a 20-hour fast, some people even do a 24-hour fast, like however long your fast is, by, yes, depriving yourself from food for that long, it could lead you to, as soon as you open up the floodgates, to just completely let loose and just go all in and eat everything in sight. I've seen a lot of people go through this. I have never gone through this, thankfully. I know how to control myself. Like I know very easily how to just limit myself to eating food, but I know for some people, as soon as they open up the floodgates, they just go all in. They eat everything in sight. And then they break their fast with just a bad meal where they were just constantly food focused all day and they have a hard time concentrating at work and they're just constantly thinking about food. It's like, oh, I can't wait to eat my next meal. And just that alone is not good for you. That's not healthy. So definitely eat based on when you're hungry. Going back to what I said earlier, intermittent fasting works if you're not a big breakfast eater and you can control your meals. But if you're like ravenous and you're hungry first thing in the morning, like please, like eat a breakfast, like eat your first meal as soon as you wake up, after drinking water, of course. But yeah, if you're prone to binge eating and overeating, and definitely this is not for you. And especially if you break your fast in a non-good way, meaning that you eat a sugary bowl of cereal, you eat a muffin, you eat a cupcake, you eat a donut, they're just going to cause a big spike in sugar and you're going to come crashing down afterwards. And it's just going to make you want to eat even more after. Whereas, and this doesn't just apply with intermittent fasting, but anytime you eat a meal, specifically when you break your fast, eat a well-balanced meal, specifically that has protein in it. So make sure that every single meal you eat has a good quality source of protein, whether it's chicken breast, beef, fish, eggs, egg whites, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, low-fat milk, anything like that. And then, yeah, add some healthy fats, add some carbs, fruits, veggies, whole grains, just so it's a balanced meal. So you feel super, super good, you feel satiated, and you can just carry on for the rest of the day. So we've touched on the 3 diets, and now let's talk about why diets actually fail. Because people don't fail diets because diets don't necessarily work, because all diets work. Like I said, I know people who have been successful using any approach because they've put themselves in a deficit, right? But the reason why most people fail is because they pick a diet they either hate, they rely every single day on motivation instead of systems, or they try to be perfect instead of being consistent. These are the 3 core reasons why people fail. If you follow a diet you hate, it's only going to be a matter of time until you fall off. If you are constantly relying on motivation instead of systems, it's only going to be a matter of time before that motivation fades and you just binge. And if you try to be perfect all the time, or just being consistent and trying your best, as soon as you aren't perfect and you don't perfectly follow the diet or hit your macros or do whatever the diet claims you to do, you're just going to completely stop and go all out. I see so many people suffer from this perfectionist mindset. And I would argue that most people who have this perfectionist mindset are actually the ones who are least perfect, ironically enough. Because the ones who aren't perfectionists and just take messy action and are imperfectionists, those are the ones who actually see the most results and see the best results and keep on lapping people who either wait for the perfect moment or who just always have this perfectionist mindset. Because if you have this perfectionist mindset, you are waiting for the perfect moment, which never happens, or you start a diet, but as soon as you fall off track, you completely go all out because you failed. You are no longer perfect. And if you're no longer perfect, you have this black or white mindset. And if you're not perfect, you're imperfect. And when you're imperfect, you go all out and you cheat on your diet and you binge and you just do everything which is the opposite of being perfect. That is why so many people fail. Now, every diet fails if adherence fails. That is it. If you can adhere to something, you will succeed. Now, with that said, though, what is the opposite? What is a diet that actually works? The best diet is the one that you can sustain, so do for the long run, enjoy. You actually enjoy the diet, you enjoy the food you eat, you enjoy every single meal you eat, and can repeat for years and decades and not for days and weeks. So here's how we choose diets for our clients. So inside of the Barbarian Squad, which is our online coaching program, we are not religious, we are not dogmatic, and we don't marry certain diets. I know sometimes on my Instagram stories, on my Snapchat stories, I say like, oh, this is my Barbarian meal, this is my Barbarian plates, this is my Barbarian bowl. And it's just marketing, basically. It's like, I typically like to eat whole foods, lean towards protein, fruits, veggies, healthy fats. Anything that is whole foods based, I call the Barbarian diets, basically. But like I said, I am not religious with any diets. I don't marry certain diets. I'm not in a relationship with any diets. So the clients who come to us, we ask them multiple different questions, but we ask them specifically, hey, what fits within your schedule? What fits with your family life? And what fits your food preferences? And then we pick whatever they answered with, either calorie restrictive, dietary restrictive, or time restrictive. And then we build around it. And ultimately, at the end of the day, it's the same calorie deficits, just a different execution. That is how people not only get results, but keep results. Some people love intermittent fasting. Other people hate it. Some people love excluding food groups. Other people hate it. Some people love tracking their macros. Other people hate it. There's not a one size fits all when it comes to dieting. You are your own unique person. So there are many ways to skin a cat, but at the end of the day, the cat still has to get skinned. Meaning, you still have to be in a calorie deficit. There are numerous ways to get you into that deficit, but you have to get yourself in that deficit. Because if you don't, none of this will work. None of it will work. So find one that you enjoy and that you can stick with and can see yourself doing for years and decades and not for days and weeks. So here's my final takeaway. Stop searching for the perfect diet and just pick how much you eat, what you eat, and when you eat. With that, create a calorie deficit, stick to it long enough, and let fat loss do the rest. Now, if you need help choosing the right dietary approach based on your lifestyle, your preferences, your needs, what you can go ahead and do is book a free consultation call with me down below, where we'll essentially go over your current goals. We'll see exactly how much fat you're looking to lose, 30 pounds, 40 pounds, 50 pounds. We'll see exactly what's holding you back right now, whether it is the lack of knowledge, the lack of structure, the lack of accountability. And then we'll create a game plan together to help you absolutely crush your goals in the next 3 to 6 months as we head into 2026. If that sounds good to you, the link will be in the description down below, and I'll see you all there. Peace.